You cannot make this up, ladies and gentlemen. This is a video of Gavin Newsom just now melting down and crying on CNN with Anderson Cooper as houses burned down behind him. Literally responsible for all of this, says Donald J. Trump, as he just called them out again in Washington, D.C., as Trump made a visit there. And that video is absolutely going viral. But it's not just Donald J. Trump blaming him for this. It's residents, celebrities, and everybody else asking Gavin Newsom to pretty much step away and resign now. But let's play this video real quick, and I'll get into all the other clips, specifically the new Donald Trump clip that's going viral right now. So here is Gavin Newsom crying over being called out for his failures in California. Take a listen.
Phase. We're in the public safety phase.
I hate to even ask this question, but the president-elect chose to attack you, blame you for this.
One can't even respond to it. I mean, it's people are literally fleeing. People have lost their lives. Kids lost their schools. Families completely torn asunder. Churches burned down. This guy wanted to politicize it. I have a lot of thoughts, and I know what I want to say. I won't. I stood next to a president of the United States of America today, and I was proud to be with Joe Biden. And he had the backs of every single person in this community. He didn't play politics, didn't try to divide anything.
So he's mad that he's being called out by not only Donald Trump, but residents. People are extremely mad at how he handled this, and this could have been avoided, legitimately could have been avoided a long time ago. But it's not just him. It's Karen Bass, the LA mayor, who literally slashed in half the budget of the LAFD, the fire department in Los Angeles, cut it down, $18 million slashing, a DEI chief of the department. Ladies and gentlemen, we have to talk about what Donald Trump just did here, because, again, in front of the world, he is exposing why Gavin Newsom freaking out like this is fake. Because he been said this, and a lot of people were mad, and I'm going to show you again why. But take a listen.
In other words, we gave it to him for nothing. The most expensive structure ever built in the history of our country, relatively speaking. The most expensive, by far. We lost 38,000 people. They gave it to him for $1, and then they charge more for our ships. It's not going to happen. And China's running the Panama Canal. That's not going to happen either.
Mr. President, on California, Mr. President, during the pandemic, you often said that you didn't believe that you should bail out blue states, that you believe were being mismanaged. Given your criticism of Governor Gavin Newsom, are you willing to work with him, and do you believe that federal aid should be provided to California for as long as it takes?
Well, it's very sad, because I've been trying to get Gavin Newsom to allow water to come. You'd have tremendous water up there. They send it out to the Pacific because they're trying to protect a tiny little fish, which is in other areas, by the way, called a smelt. And for the sake of a smelt, they have no water. They had no water in the fire hydrants today in Los Angeles. It was a terrible thing. And we're going to get that done. It's going to finally be done. I got it done from the federal side, and he didn't want to sign it, but it's not going to happen again like that. There's no reason. Can you imagine? You have farmers that don't have any water in California. They have plenty of water. They don't have a drought. They send it out to the Pacific, and it's crazy. So what's happening in California is a true tragedy. I know those areas very well. I have many friends living in those houses. That is a true tragedy. Nobody ever thought. I mean, virtually Beverly Hills and areas around Beverly Hills are being decimated. The biggest homes, some of the most valuable homes in the world are just destroyed. I don't even know. You know, you talk about a tax base. If those people leave, you're going to lose half your tax base of California. This is a true tragedy, and it's a mistake of the governor, and you could say the administration. They don't have any water. They didn't have water in the fire hydrants. They don't have water. And yet they have, the water comes from, you know where? Up north. And it comes down at levels, they give millions and millions of barrels of gallons of water that they have, and they send it out into the Pacific. For the Pacific, it's like a drop, it's nothing. But for California, it would take care of the whole state. So what's happened is a tragedy, and the governor has not done a good job. With that being said, I got along well with him when he was governor. We worked together very well, and we would work together. I guess it looks like we're going to be the one having to rebuild it. But what happened there, I don't think there's anything that I've ever seen quite like it. And the insurance companies are going to have a big problem, because you're talking about big, big dollars.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Donald J. Trump basically going off on the previous failures of Gavin Newsom, and the fact that now he's going to have to rebuild it. Again, here is Gavin Newsom losing his mind during a press conference. And again, you can agree to disagree with Trump, and maybe comment down below. Do you agree with Trump and what he's saying about Gavin Newsom? Are you a California resident, and do you feel this way? Here's Gavin Newsom again.
No one here is playing politics. We have an American president and Joe Biden that recognizes his responsibility in times of emergency. When Americans are in need, he steps up, he steps in, not qualified by a particular request or an expectation. My message to the incoming administration, and I'm not here to play any politics, is please don't play any politics. There's a time and place for that. The moments, the precious moments that we have to evacuate, we don't have time for any of that mishigash.
Again, speaking of politicizing, this guy was politicizing the whole time that Donald J. Trump was running for president. Again, the audacity of these people, specifically Gavin Newsom, in this time. You are to blame for all of this, specifically because you could have avoided this. Here is a resident of California, specifically the areas affected. Here's James Wood, just called for tribunals for Gavin Newsom. Here's what he has to say about Gavin Newsom live on air on Fox News. This is devastating.
Laura, with all due respect, if it is true that things were handled this way, if it is true that Gavin Newsom is the absolute blithering idiot that I believe he is in the way he has handled fire management in this state again and again and again and again, this isn't a wake-up call. This is the kind of thing they have tribunals for, where they try people and say, you had an oath of office to perform certain duties. When you're the fire chief, this isn't a social justice exercise that you're in charge of. This is you getting water to areas that need water because there are fires in 100-mile-an-hour winds burning houses to the ground. Laura.
James Wood, oh man, absolutely torching. Again, because for years this has happened and this could be avoided. James Wood sounding the alarm for tribunals for Gavin Newsom. Here's Zachary Levi. I hope I'm saying his name right. Here he is speaking of the failures on Fox of one Gavin Newsom.
This is just incredible mismanagement, incredibly poor leadership. I would go so far as to say that it's criminally negligent because, I mean, Gavin Newsom has been either the governor for 5 years or lieutenant governor prior to that for 8-9 years. Some of the worst fires we've ever had in California under that watch. He clearly knows that the biggest problem that we suffer in California are these fires. And by the way, the mudslides that follow. And for them to do essentially not just nothing, but worse than nothing when firefighter budgets are being cut, when they are specifically intentionally not doing the work that could be done to avoid these problems or to be able to effectively serve them when they are happening, we are losing, I mean, I think it's something like millions of acres of feet of water runoff from rain and snow every year in California. As you pointed out, I think the smelt have something to do with that. That's an acre foot of water, by the way, is about 330,000 gallons of water. And there's millions of those that are just rolling off into the ocean when they could be captured in cisterns. We'd have an ecosystem of hoses and safety measures that can keep all of these homes and people in these homes safe. And for some reason, they choose to do none of that. And at some point, it goes beyond just whoopsie. At some point, it goes beyond negligence. There's something that's almost criminally intentional about this. Like, what are they doing? I don't know.
So you mentioned criminal intent and you mentioned criminal negligence. Because California can build anything. I mean, look at Silicon Valley, look at Hollywood. If they want to do something, California can do it. But you haven't built a single reservoir in 10 years? You're just letting water run into the Pacific because of what? A fish that no one's heard of? Does anybody care about the smelt fish?
I mean, listen, I think that both can be true. I think we can care about the smelt fish and we can care about our environment and also be able to value human life and the wonderful cities and civilizations that we have built and find some kind of a balance in all of that. Even still with the smelts, there's no reason why we couldn't have safeguards to prevent what is going on right now. This is just, it's absurd. But I would say at the end of the day, you know, like I said, I don't know if there's criminal intent. I have no idea why they are doing or not doing the things that they are doing, but they must be held responsible. This is not good leadership. I mean, listen, you know, this is the man who, in the middle of the pandemic, when people were being locked up for going and gathering together, he was at French Laundry having dinner with his friends. What does that say about the character of this man who is doing nothing to help the people of California? I don't believe that he is. I don't believe that he is. And so I think that there needs to be some kind of you know, accountability that's held to the leadership, not just of California, but also of our nation. You know, I mean, listen, there are people still in Eastern North Carolina that are still climbing out of the rubble of the hurricane that totally ravaged all of them in Florida and North Carolina and South Carolina. That's still happening, and FEMA completely dropping the ball there. What's going to happen now with Southern California?
Oh man, he's raising all the great questions. And what's crazy is that Gavin Newsom has the audacity to melt down over Donald J. Trump, but it's not just Trump going after him for this. It's actors, it's celebrities as a whole, right? It's residents that live there, normal people that, once again, don't even like him for what he did during the pandemic. It's everybody in California right now asking that same question: is what is FEMA going to do? Do we even have enough money for it? We still have people in the Carolinas suffering. And this guy wants to cry now and complain now. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? It's crazy, but it's the truth. You can melt down all you want about it, but again, it's just, it seems nefarious. It seems worse than you can possibly imagine, because it probably is. You can act like, oh, you guys want to play the card now? Really? When all of this could have been avoided? Nah, we're going to call you out on it right now. I would, and I am, and so have millions of people at this point. Resign now. You suck. You're not doing a good job. And then when you look into the inner community, when you look at the police, the fire chief, when you look at Karen Bass and you look at all of this and their focuses and where the money is going, where the money is being allocated, then you say, oh my God, this is worse than I can imagine. It's unbelievable. Prayers to California. But we had it happen in Maui. They dropped the ball on that. They dropped the ball in the Carolinas, specifically North Carolina. Where else? Are they not going to drop the ball here? I mean, this is not getting any better. It doesn't seem like it. Unbelievable. Ladies and gentlemen, make sure to smash the like button. Let me know what your guys' thoughts are down in the comments. Prayers for the residents of California and all over the world, specifically here in the United States of America. See you guys on the next one.